Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not just looking at a news story. We're really trying to understand the impact of how news gets delivered. We're zooming in on a very recent piece of information, high impact stuff, really. It's a report from Reuters. And the headline, this is what grabbed our attention. It reads, U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, a stunning success. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The actual URL, the web address, it doubles down. It says https www.reuters.com/World Middle Eastis strikes against Iran nuclear facilities. Incredible, overwhelming success, 2025-06-22. And look at that date, June 22, 2025. So our mission today really is, okay, what can we as curious learners actually pull from a headline that makes such a huge definitive claim? Especially with something this major, and from a source like Reuters.
Well, the first thing that jumps out, I think, is just the sheer force of that language. Stunning success and then incredible, overwhelming success.
Hmm.
It's not just reporting an event happened, it's declaring a very specific, very positive outcome right from the get-go. This is a really clear example of what you might call outcome-based reporting. It immediately sets a tone, doesn't it? A kind of triumphant one. And that frames the whole story before you've even read a single detail, potentially.
That's a really key point. It's not just U.S. strikes happened. They were a stunning success. It almost feels like it shuts down questions, about effectiveness or maybe downsides or long-term stuff. But then again, maybe some people would say, well, isn't a clear, decisive headline just good communication, especially for like a major military action? Where's the line between just informing people clearly and, as you put it, sort of declaring a definitive outcome?
That's the tricky part, isn't it? I mean, sure, headlines need to be brief, they need impact. But this kind of language, especially from a major wire service like Reuters, it does more than inform. It actively primes your perception. It sets up this cognitive framework, like a lens, that shapes how you're going to process all the information that follows about this event. Think about it like this, maybe. If a sports team scores, okay, success is pretty clear, right? It's immeasurable. But geopolitics, success is almost never that simple. Is it just about hitting buildings, or is it about deterrence, preventing escalation, avoiding unintended consequences? This headline just gives you one verdict, a single, clean verdict, without even hinting at those other, more complex ways to measure it.
Right, so it's priming us, telling us how to feel about it. Stunning success. Sounds pretty good, before we even get into the details. So, okay, what happens then? What happens when we maybe see other information, like, say, another source, let's just call them Global Insight News, hypothetically. What if they ran a headline like, U.S. strikes on Iran? Initial assessments vary on long-term impact, something more cautious. Or maybe you hear a defense analyst saying, well, yeah, facilities were hit, but the strategic goals, the ripple effects in the region, that's all still really uncertain. How do those interact?
Okay, that's where it gets really interesting, analytically speaking. You put those side by side. Reuters' stunning success versus, say, assessments vary or impact uncertain. You immediately see the power of that initial framing, don't you? The Reuters headline feels like it wants to close the book. Case closed, conclusion reached. Whereas the hypothetical Global Insight one, or the analyst's comment, it does the opposite. It actually opens things up and invites you to ask questions. Okay, what are these varying assessments? What is uncertain? It acknowledges there's complexity there. It encourages you to think a bit more deeply.
Huh. It's really striking how one approach gives you certainty, closure almost, while the other signals, hold on, there's more to figure out here. Even about the exact same event. So what does this teach us? How should we, you people trying to understand the news, approach these really bold claims when we see them?
Well, I think it really underscores how crucial critical thinking is, especially now with so much information flying around. Language this powerful, this definitive about something so complex, it can almost short-circuit that critical process. It can start shaping policy discussions, maybe even influence how other countries react, because it presents this feeling of a fait accompli, like it's already done and dusted and successful. It kind of papers over the messy reality of these situations. Cause and effect in conflicts are rarely neat. They're rarely just stunning successes without some serious strings attached, often ones nobody saw coming.
Okay, so we really dug into the impact, the implications of this one headline. U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. A stunning success. It's a fascinating example, really, of how the words used, especially right at the top in a headline, don't just report reality, they actively help construct it for us.
And that leads to a really important question, I think. When you encounter language like that, so powerful, so certain about these huge, complex international events, how does that immediate framing affect how you perceive things? How does it shape your curiosity or maybe even limit it before you even get a chance to look deeper or find other viewpoints?
So yeah, what does this all mean for how you engage with the news, how you interpret those really striking claims that often lead the story? Definitely something to think about next time you're scrolling through your news feed.